Okay, so welcome to part 2 of making our little princesses, little princess dolls. And in the last video I showed you how to make the head and the body and one of the legs. So you should be at this point now. Should be at this point now, and you should still have a hole remaining there and a hole remaining there and a bit of a tail end here. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use this tail end to sew up this hole, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to do that after we've done the second leg. But what we want to do now is just stuff this little bit of body. So you want to get a little bit of toy stuffing and just stuff this body part. You have to do everything in stages. Okay, so when you've done that, what we want to do is we want to put our hook in the next stitch along. So the first stitch that we skipped is the next one we want to work into. Now that stitch there is actually the chain 1, so you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches skipped. So make sure you're putting your hook into the first skipped stitch and not the chain 1, and in that first skipped stitch we're going to rejoin the body colour that you've been using, in this case this sort of creamy colour. And yeah, so sorry if the lighting is gone a bit orange, it's just very dark now and I've had to put the lights on. So normally I film during the day, but this is quite a long pattern, so we're just going to bring that through. And we want to do a chain 1, so holding on to your tail end, we're just going to bring up our yarn to keep it loose and do a little chain 1. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to do 1 single crochet in the next 4, but we want to do what we did for this leg, and it's only working the back loops only. So instead of going in through both loops, we want to just go in the back loop like so. I just want to catch that back loop and do a single crochet in there, and you want to do that for the next 3 now. So instead of going through both like that, you want to go just through that back loop and make sure the stuffing stays out of the way, and do a single crochet in there. Same again for the next one, just into the back loop, do a single crochet, and then in that 5th stitch as well, that last one, just for that back loop and do a single crochet. Okay, so you've done chain 1 and 1 single crochet in the next 4 just in the back loops, and then what you want to do is to chain 2. So you just want to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then coming back to this side we want to slip stitch into our chain 1. So the trick to doing that is to make your loop quite loose on there, so you've got room to manoeuvre around. Put it through the chain 1, then pull your yarn tight, and then bring it through both loops. Okay, to join the round. And at this point I'm just going to pull that tail end a bit tighter. Okay, so you should have a stitch count of 7 including your chain 1, so the same for the other leg. What we want to do now is, let's check my notes, is we want to do rounds, 3 more rounds of chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we've still got a stitch count of 7. So I'll show you the first one. So keep it nice and loose, that chain 1 and chain 1. Then we do 1 single crochet in the next 4 as normal. You just want to work them normal now, you don't want to work in the back loops only. So chain 1's really loose, it's getting in the way. So the next 4, very fiddly, the legs. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you will be at your chain 2, and you need to work a single crochet in each of those chain 2, and I'm just going to get my scissors and push the stuffing down, leave the tail end out. So 1 single crochet in those 2 chains as well. So you define those 2 chains, and this is really fiddly, so all I can recommend is to literally just find something to work a stitch into, as long as it's 2. Grab a bit of yarn there, because they're so small and fiddly. So there's 1, and then the next one, 2. And like I said, you don't have to do the legs, you can just sew up the bottom and work the skirt part, but I think it's nice to do the legs. So there we go, we've got the last 2, and then we just want to slip stitch. If you make the yarn loose, you can move around. You just want to slip stitch into that chain 1. There we go, so I've got it in, then I can pull the yarn tight and bring it through. Okay, so we slip stitch, and now what you want to do is 2 more rounds of chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch round. It should be a bit easier now because you don't have to work into the chains. You want to do that twice, so chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch round, slip stitch to join, and do that twice more, and you should have a stitch count of 7, including your chain 1. Okay, so I'm going to do that because it's a lot easier off camera, and then I shall come back. Okay. Okay, so just coming up to the last stitch on the last round. So you should have done 2 rounds of just 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 1. On this round we're going to join the green to make the shoe like we did for the other leg. Okay, so I think that's in. So instead of yarning over with the body colour, we're going to bring back the same green as we used that side. Bring that through both loops and pull that tight. Then we're just going to do 1 more round of chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So you've still got a stitch count of 7. So that's 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, the last one, 7. Then we just want to slip stitch, bring the yarn up slightly, makes it easier to manoeuvre. Just want to slip stitch to join the round. So pull that tight before I bring the yarn through, tail ends out of the way. Let's bring that through both loops and we're done. Then what we can do is trim the white, and then want to leave a little bit longer for the green, just for sewing up at the end. Bring that through, and then with the tail ends do what we did for the other ones, tie them together, and then just use your scissors, scrunch them up in a ball, and use your scissors to stuff them into the leg. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to sew up this area, and you can use this tail end if you have enough of it left. I probably don't actually, probably didn't leave enough. So, but I shall use it a bit. And basically, just literally want to sew it together. Oh, more fingers and thumbs. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on sewing this closed, and then we just want to hide our tail end. I think that should just be about okay. I'm just going to go through once more, and because of my yarn is so short, I'm just going to put the needle through first, then thread the yarn on, and then put it through. And there we go. Then I just want to hide that a bit, so again, bring it over to this side. Put the hook, needle through first, hook the needle, then thread it on. That's what I do when the yarn gets too short. Then pull that through, and then we just trim that. Looks a bit rude and painful, and we should have something that looks a little bit like that. So the next thing to do is to stuff the legs as best you can. Again, taking a little bit of stuffing and using your scissors, these tail ends out the way, just putting it on the top, and then using your scissors to stuff the leg. Okay, so I'm just going to stuff these legs, and then I shall come back and show you what to do. Okay, so when you're finished stuffing the legs, what we're going to do is just sew the remaining holes closed. And to do that, we take our tail end, thread it on, and we're just going to drawstring it closed. So we're going to go into the next stitch. Where's that stitch? That's in that one. So we're going to go into the next stitch, then out the next stitch, and then that just pulls it tight. Then we go into the next stitch, then out of the next stitch, and it pulls it tight even more. And just repeat that round. Go into the next stitch and out the next stitch until the hole is closed, which is probably about there. Then you just want to hide your tail end, and to do that we're just going to thread it out somewhere on the green part of the body. Oh, it's a very long pattern. I've been filming this for a while, I'm getting tired. I really wanted to do this one on video though, but I will write this one up because it's quite a long one. Okay, so just bring that through, don't pull too tight, and then where you've come out, go back in and just come out the other side. Should disappear. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to push the body down and trim, and that should just pop in and hide on the inside. Do exactly the same for the other foot and hide that tail end. Then I shall come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so let's move on to the skirt part. And to do the skirt part, we need to find the back where the seam is to begin. And you should have some front loops sticking out here where we worked into the back loops only when we started the legs. Okay, so on the back where the seam is, you should have a couple of stitches where it's quite hard to see the front loop that you've left, like here, because that's where the chain one was. So the best thing to do is just literally just find the whole stitch, that you worked that chain one into, and then just grab the front of it as best you can. And then we're going to bring in our other green and bring that through the stitch. I'm just going to secure that with a little chain one. Okay, we want to do another stitch in there. You want to go back into that same front loop and do a single crochet. So you've technically got a couple of stitches in there. And then you should have a proper front loop only to work into. So we want to go into there, just grab that front loop and work 2 single crochet in there as well. So in the next stitch we do 1 single crochet and go back into the same stitch and do another one. So you've got 2 in there, like so. Then you want 2 in the next front loop. So the next front loop, 2 single crochet in there. There's 1 and back into the same front loop. Do another one. So I'm just going to do 2 single crochet in each front loop that you've got left, back to the beginning until you've got a stitch count of 20, and I'll join you on the last one just to show you what to do on the last one, but I'm going to do it off camera because it's really fiddly. So you just want to go into each front loop and do 2 single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I shall come back. Okay, so I'm almost back. I'm back at the beginning now, and I've worked 18 stitches so far, and obviously the very last one you can't really see what to do with it because it was where we worked the other chain one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to find a space, basically just a space probably around that cream bit, and just work the 2 single crochet around there because it's really hard to find the stitch. So 1 and another single crochet. Okay. Okay, almost lost it. And then all we need to do is to slip stitch into our chain one. So let's just find our chain one, which is quite small. Try and catch that bit of yarn. So then we just slip stitch into our chain one. So you should have something that looks a little bit like that going around her middle. And what we want to do next is we're going to chain 2 to begin. We don't need to keep these big, we can just chain 2 nice and normally. Then let's pull that tail end, tighten that in. Then we want to yarn over, then we want to skip a stitch, skip 1, then in the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet. So skip 1, then in the next stitch do a half double crochet. Like so, and in that gap where we skipped 1, you want to yarn over and just basically put your hook right into that gap, the whole gap, and around your half double crochet and do another half double crochet. So you're doing a half double crochet technically wrapped around the other half double crochet because you just worked it into that gap, and you want to repeat that round. So you want to skip 1 and then do a half double crochet in the next stitch. This cotton is really stringy. And then in the skipped 1 space, we want to put our hook, yarn over, and then hook into that space and do a half double crochet in that skipped space, which ends up working it around the other half double crochet at like a sort of 90-degree angle. And just repeat that all the way around. So skip 1, then half double crochet in the next stitch. Then yarn over and just put your hook into that previous gap, that space where you skipped one, and do a half double crochet in there, and just repeat that all the way around to the last stitch. Then you skip one, one half double crochet, then a half double crochet in the big gaps, put your hook in the big gap, just literally wrap it round the other half double crochet, then skip one, one half double crochet in the next stitch. So just repeat this until you get to the last stitch. Skip one, one half double crochet, then half double crochet in the skipped space, or the space created by the skipping. Almost back at the beginning. It's getting really dark now. I hope you can still see okay. Already had to change batteries as well because battery ran out. So there we go, skip one, one half double crochet in the next stitch, then a half double crochet in the previous gap created by skipping the stitch, which ends up wrapping it around the other half double crochet, then skip one, one half double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the previous gap, and then we should come to the very last stitch. There's just one stitch left now, and in that last stitch we're just going to do a half double crochet. And then we want to slip stitch in the top of our 2 chain. So there's our first chain, there's our second. So we'll just put our hook in there. And do a slip stitch like so. And that's the almost completed skirt. And we're going to do another round of this weird half double crochet technique. So we chain 2, 1 and 2. Then so that's the one we've slip stitched into. You just skip one there, and then do a half double crochet in the next stitch, which should be the first most obvious stitch. Half double crochet in there, and then we just do a half double crochet in that gap created by skipping a stitch. Okay, and just repeat that round until you get to the end. Skip one, one half double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so skip, repeat that round until you get back to one stitch again to the last stitch. Okay, so I got to the last stitch, and in the last stitch we're just going to do a half double crochet. You should still have a stitch count of 20, and then we just slip stitch into the top of our chain 2. Okay, that is the skirt finished, so we can cut that. I really hope we're not going to run out of lights. I think I'm going to have to invest in some lighting now that winter's on its way, because it's getting darker quicker. And I'm doing more and more videos and running out of daylight's a pain. So we're just going to sew our ends in and hide them. Don't want to go for a foot. So I'm just going to tie in the other tail end as well, and then I shall come back and show you the arms, and then we're pretty much there. Okay, so I've tied in the tail ends, and she looks a little something like this with her little legs and her little green shoes and a little dress over the top. And we're going to move on to the arms now. So to do the arms, we're going to start off with the same light green that we used for the top of the body. So whatever colour you've used up there, you want to start with that colour. We're just going to, you want to leave a little bit of a tail for sewing. And what we want to do is we want to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then what you want to do is you want to get your body colour, and you want to just put that over your hook and chain 5 with that as well. So make sure that's tight. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the cream as well. And don't worry so much about it being a bit loose in the middle, but what you want to do is you want to slip stitch into the first, well, the end of the cream basically. So that's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4th stitch from hook. So you don't count the loop on your hook. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the 4th stitch and hook, we just want to do a little slip stitch. Okay, that creates a little loop at the end. And then we want to cut our yarn, and we're going to cut the green as well. You can see this on camera. Cut the green as well, and just bring that cream through. And what we want to do now is we want to thread. You should have one green tail end at the end, which is the beginning one, and all the others are sort of in the same place, all the other tail ends. What you want to do is you want to sew all these tail ends to this end, and it doesn't matter if the cream shows up because it just looks like the arm inside the sleeve. So let's get this first one, and you just literally, first thing to do, what I do is actually go into the next chain up just to secure that into place, nice and tight. Then turn it over and moving the other tail ends out of the way. We can just tighten that green one. There we go, pull those tight. Just literally, see that on camera, yeah, just sew as neatly as you can to the other end. Okay. Without getting the other ones in the way. And you want to repeat that for the other 2 as well. So I'm just going to do that for the other 2, just sew them to the end, and I shall come back. Okay, so when you've done that, you've sewn all the tail ends to the end. It should look a little something like this, like the little hand on the end and almost like a sleeve. And it doesn't matter if you see bits of the cream in the green, because it just looks like it's sort of a lace effect on her clothing. So the next thing to do is just to sew that onto her body. And to do that is pretty simple. Just take one of the tail ends to start, and making sure the seam is at the back. It's going to go just where the cream and the green meet. We're going to put it in there, and then just come out basically underneath her skirt. Like so. And you want to repeat that for all the tail ends, going for the same stitch. Okay, so where you went in, same again, and just come out underneath her skirt somewhere. Put it tight, but not too tight, just tight enough. It doesn't matter if it concertinas up, because that makes it look like she's got a fancy dress on, like fancy sleeves, puffed sleeves. And next one. Sorry about the background noise. Goodness knows what's going on in there. And the last one. Again, going into the same hole out underneath the skirt. Okay, and then you can just shape that, pull it out a little bit if it's just a little bit too small. And there is her tiny little arm. And the next thing to do is just flip up her skirt and hide all these tail ends. And to do that, it's the same as we do for all our tail ends on my projects. We need to just sew over a little bit, and then perhaps sew out to the middle, and then perhaps just sew right through back to the front, just so it's secure, and then trim down any excess. But because it's under a skirt, you don't have to be too neat. So I'm just going to repeat that with the other tail ends, and then I'm also going to repeat the same steps, exactly the same steps for the other arm, same amount of chains, same sewing in for the other side, out for the bottom, hide those tail ends, and then I shall come back and show you how to do the hair. Okay, so just repeat all those steps for the other arm and hand. Okay, so before we completely run out of any light, I've just repeated all those steps to make the other arm and sewn all the tail ends underneath her skirt, and she looks fairly neat underneath as well. And all that's left to do now is the hair and the little eyes as well. So for the hair, what you need to do is you need to get your chosen colour. So in this time, rather than white, I'm choosing brown. And you want a length of about that much, so it's probably about double the length of your palm. And you want 18 of these, so you want 18 of these strands. And each strand is going to correspond with the front loops that we left on the head. You can see here on this round we only worked into the back loops. So what you want to do is you want to get your yarn needle, and taking one of your hair strands, I'll thread that on, you want to find, start at the back, you want to find one of those little front loops there on the head, and just sew the hair on equally. So you've got two strands like that coming out of the head. Okay, and you want to repeat that for each front loop around. Okay, so I'm going to do that for each of these 18 strands. And then, so you find the next one, and then I shall come back. Okay, it's just like that. Okay, so I've threaded each of these pieces of strands onto her head, and it looks a little something like this. And the first thing to do, sorry about the background noise, is to make sure the hair covers her head. For this girl, with this little princess, we're going to have two little plaits either side. How suspicious. Whereas this one, we just swept it all to one side and had the plait that side. But for this girl, we're going to, first of all, just comb it down to her neck, down to there. and then we're going to get a bit of yarn the same colour as her dress. I think we'll go with, let's go with the darker green, shall we? Let's get a little strand of this. And the first thing I'm going to do is, I get this on camera, is just have it all at the back, so it's all covering her hair, and then tie it here to begin, like so, just so it covers her hair like so. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and we're just going to then split this into roughly 2 lots, and then we're going to plait each side. So let's plait this side first. So again, we divide one side into 3 and just plait. You might have more yarn than you need, so just see how it goes. You might not want them too long, you might not want them long. It's whatever you prefer. So I'm probably going to stop there, and then I'm just going to just make sure that's a good length. Yep. And then what we're going to do is get some more of the same yarn, cut a little strand of this, and then without undoing the plait, just need to tie this into place nice and tight. And you want to do a few, you'll do a double knot on there as well. And you can always twist, wrap the yarn round a bit, and then tie it again if you want to. Make sure it's secure. And then you can trim down the excess, and of course trim the excess of her hair as well. Okay, so we'll leave that in for now, that one. But there's her one plait, so I'm just going to plait this side as well and tie the end, and then I shall come back. Okay, so I've pleated the plait for the other side. Then I'm going to take out this green bit I used here just to hold the hair in place, and there we go, there's our little plaits. So all we're going to do now is, it's got a bit of crazy hair there, I'm sure you can do a neater job. Should look like that. Then what we're going to do is just add some eyes, and I choose the same colour as one of the colours used in her clothes. For this little girl I use little blue eyes. Maybe we can do little brown eyes, so, or green eyes. Let's give her green eyes. I don't actually know what colour eyes she's got. So let's take a bit of green again. Actually, we can use the same bit of green we just took out. And to do the eyes, all we do is, okay, just do them from side to side. So I go in one side and come out the other. And then leave a little bit of a tail just for easy sewing at the end. Then go over slightly by one stitch, then out the other side, one stitch over from where you went in. So that should create that eye. And then here, all you want to do is go in again where you went in to begin with, into there, and then come out, go down a bit and come out on her top somewhere, or to begin with. And that creates the second eye. And then all we do is just hide this tail end. And to do that, we go in where we came out and just come out somewhere underneath her skirt. And then just hide the tail end. one done. Oh my goodness. There we go. Oh, so frustrating. There we go. And then we can just trim the excess. And then that just leaves this bit on the eye here. So we thread that on. And go back in where you went in to begin with. And then we're going to pass this down again to the body to begin. That should disappear on the inside, and then go back in where you came out and bring it down to underneath her skirt. Like so. And then I was going to trim that. I've had enough of sewing. So there we go. There is our finished doll with some crazy hair. There we go. If that was done a bit neater, it would look like that. So there we go. There's our other little character to go with this one here. So there we go. And I hope you managed to follow along. That was a very, very long tutorial. It was getting increasingly darker and later. I was getting more tired. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. Let me know what kind of little princesses you make and what hairstyles you play with. But thanks for watching, and yeah, I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!